Welcome back, guys, and now we're going to start talking about general criteria for application to MSMS. In other words, the stuff you got to do to go to school here, okay? If you look at the first page of the application, you will see that all this stuff is listed out in black and white for you. So if you can read, frankly, you probably don't need to watch this video. But if you'd like me to get a little more in-depth, or you'd like to learn a little bit more about these specific requirements, then pay attention and we'll go over each one by one. Or if you just like the sound of my voice and someone reading to you, then that's okay too. Number one, you must be a resident of Mississippi to apply to the Mississippi School for Math and Science. That's pretty straightforward. You got to live in Mississippi to go to MSMS. If you got any questions about that, any questions about your residency or your status or any of that good stuff, don't hesitate to get in touch with us and we'll look at your case as it comes in. You must also be a current high school 10th grader. You got to be a sophomore to apply to MSMS. You go attend MSMS in your 11th and 12th grade years, and you go through the selection process in the 10th grade. The 10th grade is the only time you can apply for MSMS, and you can apply early and you cannot apply late. For those of you who are in the class of 2014 and watching this right now, now is the time you can apply. You can start applying right now, okay? And the deadline for the application, of course, is in February of 2012. You must have earned a minimum of 12 Carnegie units of study by completion of the 10th grade. That means by the end of the 10th grade, you have to have 12 units knocked out. Every school is different in the way they handle Carnegie units, so just talk with your counselor and make sure you'll be on that path. Most of you guys will probably already have this done or near done as of right now. But just make sure we have to have that, and we have to make sure that you've got that taken care of. You must have a record of school performance that is superior in math and science, overall average of 90 or higher, and above average in everything else. In other words, A's and B's, guys, A's and B's, A's and B's. Now, does that mean you might have a couple of C's hiding back there and you won't get into MSMS? Absolutely not. We look at your overall average, which means if you struggled a little bit in one area, then your application and your ACT score can help make up for that, okay? So we're looking at your whole average. Now, if you're sitting on several F's and D's, then maybe there's something else you need to think about doing, okay? A's and B's, you got plenty of time, folks, plenty of time. Specifically, the grades we're going to look at is any high school credits you got in the 8th grade, like if you took Algebra 1, for example. Some of you might have taken Algebra 1 in the 8th grade. Everything in your 9th grade year, in your first semester 10th grade grades. So we're going to look at all of that. We're going to do a big average. We're going to combine all that stuff, and we're going to look at the overall thing, not one 9 weeks, not one class, and not one semester, okay? So we just got to look at that. So, shoot for a 90 or higher. You got plenty of time to get that up there. You must submit an ACT score. 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 What I do not want to hear come February are a couple of hundred of you telling me, well, Mr. Wade, I didn't know I had to take the ACT. This is me telling you right now, you have to take the ACT, okay? Do you have to make a minimum on the ACT to get into MSMS? No. Does it help if you have a really good score? Yes. If you want me to give you a number, guys, 20 or higher. Students with a 20 or higher statistically are more successful at MSMS. Now, we've certainly had students who have had less than a 20 who make it into the school and are successful here, but they got in based on the high-quality GPAs and their high-quality applications, okay? 20 or higher is what you're shooting for. You've got several chances to take it. If you go over to the ACT information page I've got here, I've got full dates and deadlines of every ACT date from here until the deadline of the application, okay? You can take it as many times as you want to. The only score I'm interested in seeing is your highest one. I don't care what your lowest one is. I don't care, how many times you've taken it. Just take it until you get it where you're happy with it. You must obviously complete and submit this application. I mean, that should be obvious, but yes, you have to send me every page of the application. And those are the requirements for applying. Those are the things you have to have knocked out in order to be a eligible candidate for the Mississippi School for Math and Science. Now, a couple of things, guys. If you haven't taken the ACT yet, or you're getting ready to take the ACT, obviously you can start working on the application, okay? So it's a part of it, but it's not anything that you have to have done beforehand. Make sense? Awesome. Classes you have to have in MSMS include, before you can get into MSMS rather, include you got to have 2 units of English. So you had to take English your freshman year and your sophomore year. You have to have 2 units of math. We require geometry and algebra 1. You have got to have those finished by the end of your sophomore year, and we recommend algebra 2. Recommend does not mean required. Please, everyone, understand that. Recommend does not mean required. We teach algebra 2 at MSMS for those of you who don't have it. We recommend it because you can take higher level math earlier if you've already had algebra 2, which is a lot more fun and a lot more interesting. But we don't teach geometry or algebra 1 here. So if you don't have those, and you're not going to have those by the end of the 10th grade, then I can't do anything for you, okay? The only other option you would have if it's just impossible for you to take geometry, for example, in your 10th grade year, is to try to do a correspondence over the summer. You must also have 2 units of science. Biology 1 is required and chemistry is recommended. We don't teach biology 1 at MSMS. You have got to have that finished by the end of the 10th grade. For most of you, this is no big deal. You're fine. You're not really worried about this. But for some of you who have not signed up for biology 1 yet, for whatever reason, you need to get that fixed right now, okay? Because if you don't have that, I don't care if you make 36 on the ACT next week and have 102 GPA, you can't come to school here. You also have to have 2 units of social studies. Mississippi Studies, World Geography, and World History are all recommended. Mississippi Studies, you need to get that taken care of. We also recommend you have the following classes: 1 unit of technology. Some schools call that computer discovery, STEM, or half a unit of keyboarding and half a unit of computer applications. You got to have half a unit of health, and you must have half a unit of PE. We recommend all those. Again, recommended is not the same as required. If you are a homeschooler, criteria is slightly different. And we'll get into that good stuff on a different page on this FAQ. And if you've got any questions about general criteria getting into the school, don't hesitate to get in touch with me. Shoot me an email, give me a call, whatever you need to do. Don't look at this list and decide, oh my gosh, I don't meet that particular criteria, so I'm just not going to do anything. Before you just stonewall yourself out of MSMS, please give me a call. Let's talk about it. Let's see what we can do. Remember, guys, my whole purpose for being is to help you guys out with this process. Okay? For most of you, again, this is not going to be a big deal. For most of you, you've had this stuff in the can for a long time now. So saying that, let's move on to the next part of this application, which is the application checklist, which is page 2. All right, guys. We'll see you in a minute. Bye-bye.